Hey besties, welcome back to the channel or the Patreon or wherever this may land. By the title, you guys already know what's going on, but we are finally getting into the Beyonce and Jay-Z success or sacrifice timeline. My timeline. There's probably more things that happen in here. These are just things that I personally noticed over the years and like have been keeping tabs on. Like even before I was doing this conspiracy stuff, like this type of content, some of these things on here, just things that I kind of noticed. And I used to be not a stan. I was never a stan of anybody, but I was a fan. I was a Beyonce fan, like to my core at one point. So even while I was a fan of hers, I was like, this is a little suspicious. But like I was a little brainwashed, I will not lie. I didn't really care. I just thought it was all conspiracy too. I was like, oh, it's all fake, everybody's just hating on her. How many times does something have to be a coincidence before it's mathematically impossible for it to be a conspiracy anymore? So I hope you guys are ready. I hope you hear something new today. I know a lot of different people have talked about these topics like over the years, especially like lately. I wanted to build my own platform to where you guys are solid and you know what I'm talking about, and it's not like I'm just here like fighting to prove why I think these things are. I've provided a lot of things in between the time when I first said why I was saying what I was saying. So I just feel like we have a solid group here now where I can say these things and it's not like, oh my god, you're crazy, this is so far-fetched, what would make you say this? Now we know. So if you're ready to dive into this, make sure you have your wine, your water, or your rolling tray or whatever you need to tune in with me while we get into this Carter tea. Like, who are you to close off Earth? For legal reasons, if any kids are watching, you already know. Something I want to start with, a few of the things here are going to be split up into videos of their own that we will do along the way. They're just being mentioned here because I feel like they're valid to the storyline. So because this timeline is based on Beyonce and Jay-Z's success or sacrifice from the moment they were put together to now, okay? Just getting that out the way now. With that being said, I would like to mention, I do believe Beyonce lies about her age. I don't think she's the age that she says she is. I think she's older. I think that's also why nobody makes a big deal about her and Jay-Z's age gap, because there isn't really the gap that we believe there is, because she's actually older. Pictures I've seen of Destiny's Child and Solange and Little Bow Wow, and Solange and Bow Wow allegedly being the same age, but she always looks so much older than him. And I know like women grow up faster, sometimes women get taller before boys. I get all of that. I've also heard rumors about Beyonce and Gabrielle Union being the same age, and Gabrielle Union is 10 years older than Beyonce. There's just little things along the way that come up and it's like, are y'all paying attention to timelines? There was also like a point in time where Tina was telling a story and she was saying how she took Beyonce to this Michael Jackson concert and she was supposed to be a certain age, but with the timeline of when that concert was, it showed that she would have had to be older for the story to make sense. Pictures of them like way back and where she's supposed to be a certain age and a certain year, and it just doesn't correlate. A lot of people in the industry lie about their age though. Some try to make themselves older, some try to make themselves younger. It just depends on what they're pushing or like what circles they're trying to have these people in. Another thing I would like to mention that comes full circle at the end of this list is that at the beginning of Beyonce's career, her uncle Johnny died, and he was a huge influence on her, helped her like with her beginning outfits and, you know, stage ensembles and things like that. Could have been a sacrifice for Destiny's Child. We know Matthew is hungry and all he ever wanted was for those girls and for his girls to make it and make him some money. So, and as I've said in my Josie and the Pussycat videos, I don't think that they go and handpick who's going to like be sacrificed. Or it's just sometimes the witchcraft is at work and whoever gets hit gets hit. It's not always like a one size fits all. It's not just like, oh, I'm trying to get this person to this contract I'm signing. A sacrifice has to happen. Something has to be sacrificed for me to get this. Either you sacrifice yourself, your body, agree to be famous for this certain amount of years. You agreed to get this certain talent for a certain amount of time. So it was just convenient timing. So that's just one of those things that like I just wanted to throw in there in the beginning because I feel like it does come back around. So we'll get to that. This is where the success or sacrifice timeline starts for me. It's 2001, Aaliyah just dies. Now there's room for a new R&B princess. Conveniently, this is when Beyonce wants to start her solo career. Beyonce was fine all this time in Destiny's Child. Things were going great for them. They were like in a really good space back then. Nope, let's push them to the back. And let's push Beyonce and Jay-Z, the new Bonnie and Clyde. Aaliyah and Jay-Z were involved before her and Dame were, and that never sat right with Jay-Z that he could get left for Dame and be with him. Like, that was who she chose. So I feel like they conspired with Hype Williams. That whole Aaliyah story, it has to be a separate video. Like, because that whole entire story just has never made sense to me from day one when I was a kid. Yeah, I heavily believe that Jay-Z had major parts in that. And then we had Aaliyah being interviewed by Beyonce on the red carpet, and there was just like this energy of like, oh, we all love Aaliyah, we look up to her. And the whole time they plotting to take my girl out of the game. So Jay-Z uses Beyonce because he wanted that to be him and Aaliyah so bad. So Aaliyah dies in 2001, which makes space for a new it girl in the game, Beyonce. In 2002, she was Foxy Cleopatra in the Austin Powers movie. And if you know, you know, Aaliyah was in her acting bag heavy before she died. And that was what she actually wanted to pursue. Like, she was ready to leave the music industry and pursue acting. That doesn't make people too happy either. Her uncle, who got that massive payout on life insurance after she died, yeah, that wouldn't have made him too happy if she decided to leave music and just start pursuing acting. Because that's not his bag. His bag is, you're signed to this label for this. So once you start talking about quitting, this is what I'm telling y'all, the industry is a gang. And if you're important enough, you're worth more dead than alive. And they do not just let you walk away that easy. So now you have all these different people who benefit from Aaliyah dying. So now we have Beyonce, the actress. And yeah, I know she did Carmen at Hip Hopera, but she's getting like major motion pictures at this point. I personally just think that that was interesting. Also in 2002, Beyonce and Jay-Z dropped '03 Bonnie and Clyde, which they stole from Toni Braxton. That was supposed to be her to go on her next album. She was preparing for that. She did an interview with Wendy Williams back in 2002 when this happened.
Apparently, you did that song and you were set to have Gotti on it with you, right?
Right.
Because we have a copy of it here in the studio.
You know what's on the album is just me singing it, but the remix would have been with Gotti rapping on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's my understanding that Kevin Lyles from Def Jam got his hands on it and passed it along to Jay-Z.
You know, I don't know any of the semantics of how it happened. I'm hoping you can tell me that. So if that's one of the rumors, I'd like to know if that's true or not. But all I know is I hired Gotti, which is through Def Jam, and all of a sudden, you know, Beyonce and Jay-Z did it. Which I was really disappointed because I'm huge fans of both of them. And I mean, no one owns the song. Definitely not a sampled song. And Tupac left us with great music to sample, but it's both on that Def Jam label, so I'm really disappointed. I've been in the business 10 years now. I got these new up-and-coming divas trying to steal my mojo, and I'm like, what's up with that? I'm not going to handle it. I'm going to take this. We're going to fight this.
We're behind you. We are behind you here.
It's a code of ethics. I mean, like Mary, me, Whitney, Mariah, Janice, we don't even like try to work with the same producers that other people work with on our current albums. We're like, I'll wait till the next album.
Right.
We respect each other.
Yes.
And I feel like that's not cool. You shouldn't do that.
Whether the label gave it to them or they took it, when you hear somebody else's reference track and you see that they're working, this is supposed to be their next single, and you swing in and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna sing that anyway, like it's a weird behavior. And then you understand why people like Khalees and people in the industry get mad at her for certain things, because you're not running things by people. You're not speaking to people. Like, listen, this goes deep and it goes back. She's been stealing since the beginning of her career. Okay, anyway. But yeah, they dropped '03 Bonnie and Clyde in 2002, and then that sets them up to be the next big thing in the industry. And that was a PR relationship. They put them two together. All of that, they were put together for this reason, and they decided to keep renewing their contract. There's a lot of industry relationships for certain purposes. Their purpose was to push '03 Bonnie and Clyde, to push them as this, you know, she couldn't do it just on her own. And I know that sounds so sad to say, but neither one of them, their relationship set both of them apart and escalated them to a whole nother level, upgrade you, and this people loved them as a unit, still do. That is a business arrangement. Anyway. So after setting this up, now we get to see Dangerously in Love Beyonce. 2003, Beyonce drops her album, and she's Jay-Z's girl. Like, we see her throwing up the rock, them in each other's videos, and them doing all of these collabs and being seen in all these places. So after Beyonce drops Dangerously in Love in 2003, she ends up taking home 5 Grammys for that album in 2004. Which is an amazing accomplishment, but this is intense for a new solo artist. You know, like, yes, we knew Beyonce from Destiny's Child and we know who Beyonce is, but this is a new solo artist. You're taking home 5 whole Grammys on your first solo album. And like, I've heard people say like, oh, but Destiny's Child was already the top, you know, selling girl group. I understand that. That was Destiny's Child though. Their success and Beyonce's success is completely separate. This is her as a solo artist at this point, coming into the game as her own entity. This is not Destiny's Child. This is just Beyonce. You don't see that type of stuff happen without sacrifice, without selling something. And that whole relationship, she had to sell herself to Jay-Z, basically. Now she's property of Jay-Z. All of the going up there and my man, and oh, I love me some Jay-Z and all. Come on, y'all. Like, it was all so performative. This was also the same year that she dropped The Fighting Temptations, which was another great movie, went 10 times platinum in my crib. Yeah, so like, we're seeing her really acting, really on this solo trip. I'm not really sure what was going on with her in 2005, but I know she did do a Tina Turner tribute that year, which also kind of comes full circle at the end, but yeah. 2006, she released her album Bday, and it was released to coincide with her 25th birthday on September 4th, 2006. And if you ask me, that was a Columbia Records ritual. Birthdays are a ritual within itself, so dropping the album for her birthday was a choice. That same year, she also dropped Pink Panther and Dreamgirls. Both did extremely well. But in the middle of her new album and 2 new movies being released, there are talks of a tape between Beyonce and an unnamed rap mogul in the industry. The real tea is that this tape was allegedly in the possession of Pimp C.
If I was to tell the truth, yeah, you know, like a lot of people don't know, man, you know, I ain't gonna say who it is, but it's a real famous rapper and it's a real famous R&B chick.
Okay.
Yeah. Pimp had a hit. He had a recording of them. I think he died with it, but he could have made millions of dollars. And some of the people that's higher up in rap, if they would have seen that tape, you know what I'm saying? You think that Kim Kardashian or something?
Yeah, this would have blew it out the water.
Man, I'm gonna use your imagination. The biggest R&B chick.
And at this point, Beyonce and Jay-Z are extremely serious, and like, everybody knows them for being a unit. If you know, you know. Nothing can get out to tarnish their cookie cutter image as the future Mr. and Mrs. Carter. So in 2007, Pimp C, who allegedly had a tape of their dealings, ends up unalived at 33 years old on December 4th, Jay-Z's birthday, and exactly 4 months before the Carters are married in 2008. And they also happen to get married on April 4th, 2008, which is 4-4, 4 plus 4. We know she's born September 4th, he's born December 4th. They named their child Blue Ivy, the Roman numerals of the number 4. So they take that very serious. So another ritual. Pimp C was sacrificed. Listen. These are the numbers. These are the numbers. These are the patterns. So now that we're in 2008, Beyonce comes out and tells the world about Sasha Fierce, her inner demon. Her alter ego, who helps her dance, sing, perform, and do everything better. Yeah. And she casually just laid this on us on air. Oh, yeah, I have Sasha Fierce. Okay, like, this is so normal. And as she's telling us about her new designated demon, she goes on to release Cadillac Records that same year. The reason I want to talk about Sasha Fierce is because this was Beyonce's big moment. This was her transformation. So all of these things, like these little sacrifices and things that were happening, this is when she took on an alter ego. She took on a demon, and she let us know. This was a whole ritual in front of the world to let us know about the demon as well. Like, I'm not just gonna have this demon and, you know, she's chilling, people think this is me. No, I'm giving the demon credit. I'm letting people know who my demon is. Okay. Releasing on November 12th, 2008, little did Beyonce know that her 3rd studio album would be so historic. She created Sasha Fierce so that she could keep her persona separate from who she really is, saying, I'm not like her in real life at all. But if you know, you know, Beyonce didn't create Sasha Fierce. Sasha Fierce is an entity. There's a book of shadows written by Sasha Fierce, which I actually have a copy of. So that was just already the red flag. You did not create this alter ego. You summoned it. But okay. Beyonce's song Halo from this album is her longest running single on the Hot 100 charts in the States. The single was certified quadruple platinum in Australia and double platinum in the States and Spain. Beyonce earned 6 Grammy Awards in 2010 for this album, which was a new record for her. Single Ladies Put a Ring on It won 3 Grammys that year, including the Song of the Year. She has won 22 Grammys in her career so far, becoming the second female to do so. She's also the most nominated female ever. But I share that to say that Beyonce was a force before Sasha Fierce, but she wasn't historic. And you'll even like notice online, she was only who she was for the black community up into that Sasha Fierce point. Like that really set her, like she was Beyonce. That's when we started seeing her everywhere. Then Glee had a Beyonce episode. Single Ladies happened. Like we had so many moments after that. Like it was like, I'm telling you guys, it was a shift after Beyonce dropped I Am Sasha Fierce, and that was because she had her lovely designated demon inside of her body now. She had a soul transference. Giving herself to Sasha Fierce was such a sacrifice. Anyway, in 2009, the movie Obsessed is released, and Beyonce is starting her I Am World Tour for I Am Sasha Fierce. This is where things start to get spooky because a major music legend dies every time Beyonce goes on tour. Not to say that they don't die when she's not touring, because I mean, people die every day, but a major legend in the industry dies every time Beyonce goes on tour, starting after her soul transference with Sasha Fierce. In 2009, we have Michael Jackson dying 3 months after Beyonce starts this tour. We've seen all the arguments and how many times Beyonce has been either compared to Michael Jackson or questioned if she can have the same legacy and all of these different things, and I just thought that was interesting. And again, this isn't saying Beyonce is sitting on a floor conjuring, I'm going to kill Michael Jackson. It's an energy transfer. There can only be so many people at this height. I don't really have anything about her in 2010 that I know of. I think she took a break. I feel like 2010 was like a really quiet time for her, and that was because she was going to pop out pregnant. Yeah, I don't really have anything for her on 2010. But we do have in 2011 when she had her infamous baby bump scandal when her stomach deflated on live television. Yeah, that. What also happened in 2011, Jay-Z's alleged mistress, Cathy White, was found dead. Let's read this article from September 13th, 2011. Fitness and beauty expert Cathy Karina White was found dead in her Manhattan apartment on September 2nd. White was a Howard University graduate, a contributor to various online publications, and was a CEO of her own public relations firm. The reported cause of death was an aneurysm. The LA beauty battled the blogs last year after the Hollywood Street King reported that she was the mistress of Jay-Z. The rumors were sparked after she and model Claudia Jordan were allegedly spotted at the Las Vegas Tao nightclub sitting at a table with Jay-Z and Diddy. A young woman who was rumored to be tied to Jay-Z has died at only 28 years old. It's not clear what kind of aneurysm she died from, as it can develop on many parts of the body. It's always an aneurysm, heart attack, suicide. Her death has stirred up some unwanted attention for Jay-Z with claims of a hidden love child in Trinidad and Tobago, and the Illuminati crazies are claiming that her death was a sacrifice for the famous people. The Illuminati crazies. Are we really crazy though? Are we? Former journalist for Star Magazine, Liz Crokin, was set to do an interview with Cathy White. This was going to be White's tell-all about her alleged affair with the NYC rapper. Days after booking the interview with Cathy White, Liz reached out to follow up, and the alleged mistress's colleagues informed her that she died. Days before she's set to do this interview to tell all about her and Jay-Z's relationship, she's found dead of an aneurysm. But we're Illuminati crazies. Okay. And here we have an article from Liz Crokin. In August of 2011, I was working as a senior editor for Star Magazine. My boss asked me to look into some reports claiming a woman named Cathy Karina White, who friends called Corey, was having an affair with Jay-Z. The blog that reportedly broke the affair story was published by Hollywood Street King, an article titled "Busted, Jay-Z Caught Cheating on Beyonce with Cathy White." I managed to get a hold of Cathy White at her job in New York over the phone. During our first conversation, she denied having an affair with Jay-Z. Furthermore, she also claimed that she had never hung out with him or had even met him. I then uncovered photos of Cathy hanging with Jay-Z and Diddy, nonetheless, at Tao nightclub in Las Vegas. So I called her back and asked her about the photo evidence that debunked her initial claim that she has never met or hung out with Jay-Z. At this point, Cathy expressed to me that she would consider going public with her story. Days later, I tried to reach her at work with no luck. I finally got a hold of one of her colleagues and I asked if she knew why Cathy had been MIA. Her colleague shockingly told me she's dead. Upon hearing this, I felt sick, and my immediate gut feeling was that she was murdered. The police at the time said that she died of an aneurysm. I found it highly suspicious that a seemingly healthy 28-year-old woman would drop dead from an aneurysm, and the timing and death sure was convenient for Jay-Z. Sources told me that Cathy had told Jay-Z she was considering going public with Star magazine via me after we talked. There were also online blogs that reported this info too. I ran a small story on this that appeared in Star at the time. I wanted to pursue this story further to investigate if she was indeed murdered. However, I was discouraged from doing so. My boss was not interested in running a follow-up piece. Years later, I met sources who knew both Jay-Z, Cathy, and inside information on her death. They strongly believe Jay-Z had her murdered to silence her. One source told me Jay-Z had law enforcement and even coroners in his back pocket, just like Diddy. The source also said that there are corrupt coroners in New York City who will rule homicides as natural deaths for cash, just like with Diddy. In 2020, Crazy Days and Nights reported this. This A-list host/model is also an actress, always stayed quiet about the death of her friend, but has become more convinced over the years that the permanent A-list rapper had her friend killed. It seemed just too convenient at the time that he wanted her out of the picture, and shortly after that, she died. The blind item later revealed the A-list host was Claudia Jordan, the rapper was Jay-Z, and Claudia's friend was Cathy. Also, Crazy Days and Nights reported that Rita Ora and others have said you don't want to cross Jay-Z because they fear that they will be killed. On August 8th, 2011, Beyonce announced her first pregnancy at the VMAs. A few days later, it broke in the press that Cathy had died. However, I had known about Cathy's death days before the media broke it. It would have been a PR nightmare for Beyonce and Jay-Z if Cathy did a tell-all around the time they had crafted her over-the-top pregnancy announcement, and it was obviously engineered as a Hollywood publicity stunt for the power couple. Diddy, who hung out with Jay-Z when he was with Cathy, has also been accused of getting rid of his ex-girlfriend Kim Porter, who also died under the same suspicious circumstances. Crazy. Everybody's friends with a murderer and a trafficker and a coroner. Nobody knows how these things happen. Kim's baby daddy, Al B. Shore, has suggested that she was murdered. Yes, he did. Jaguar Wright has... Oh, we're getting into Jag? Okay. Jaguar Wright has also said she absolutely believes without hesitation Diddy had something to do with Kim's death. Absolutely. Furthermore, Jaguar has also claimed that Jay-Z is worse than Diddy. And he is. Sean Carter's worse. He's smarter, which is a fact. Evil and smart? In a recent lawsuit, Lil Rod has accused Lil Rod too? Okay. But, okay. Y'all see what I be talking about when I say I wait for the perfect timing? Because if I wouldn't have waited, and if I didn't find out about the Little Rod suit and then break that down already before, none of this would have mattered that I'm talking about right now. None of this would have really clicked or made sense. This article is from 2024. And I was like, wow, do y'all see these coincidences, this chain of events? In a recent lawsuit, Lil Rod has accused Diddy of murder, sex trafficking, blackmail, and child rape. The suit also alleges that Diddy had control over the police in multiple cities, just as Jay-Z does. And let's not forget that Jay-Z is friends with satanic witch Marina Abramovic, who we learned conducts demonic spirit cooking rituals involving blood, semen, and breast milk. This was exposed in John Podesta's emails. These are the friends that these people keep. So this was all 2011. 2012, Blue Ivy is born into the industry. She is an industry baby. You guys on the Patreon know I have a post on why Satan wants their firstborn. Resort back to that, or I'll have it tagged below. And like I was saying, Blue Ivy was named after Jay-Z's The Blueprint, and both of their birthdays being 4. Also in 2012, while Beyonce was preparing for her Mrs. Carter tour, Whitney Houston dies. Now, do I think that was just on Beyonce? Absolutely not. I strongly believe Clive Davis had something to do with that. I think Ray J had something to do with that and knows more than he's letting on. I think a lot of people in the industry know what happened there, but I do think it's funny that every time Beyonce is preparing to tour or is on tour, we lose another legend. In 2013, Beyonce went on her Mrs. Carter World Tour, and after a member of the Church of Beyonce, which I think I talked about a little bit in the Swarm video, committed suicide for her love of Beyonce. Yeah, sacrifice. Even if someone seemingly sacrifices themselves, witchcraft. You were under the spell so hard that you, yes, that happened. 2014, 106 in Park was canceled right after Karrueche made a bad joke about Blue Ivy's hair, which was written by 106 in Park. Like, it wasn't like her joke, but we never saw 106 in Park after that, which is so funny. I feel like that just shows how powerful they are. Like, oh, you want to play with my baby? Y'all will never eat again. So also in 2014, after the Church of Beyonce situation, she started the On the Run tour, and Bobby Womack died just 2 days into that tour. In 2016, we have the Met Gala and Beyonce's Lemonade album. And Prince also died just 6 days before Beyonce started her Formation tour. Again, why do legends keep dying every time Beyonce's preparing for or is on tour? Just conveniently, it could be any other day of the year that these people, these big names, when it came to music. And the reason I mentioned the Met Gala was because on Beyonce's Lemonade album, she had a part where she was talking about, if she's really what you want, I could wear her skin as mine. It was very weird. It was so creepy.
Her sternum, a bedazzled cane. I can wear her skin over mine. Her scalp, a cap. Hands as gloves, as confetti. You and your perfect girl.
She also showed up in a full skin-looking latex dress with pearls at the Met Gala, right after saying all of that on Lemonade. In 2018, Beyonce was accused of extreme witchcraft by her ex-drummer. Among other allegations, Thompson also claims that Beyonce murdered my pet kitten. And then here was an update saying Beyonce won't be hit with any witchcraft-related restraining orders. A case was completely tossed after neither Thompson nor any representative of Beyonce appeared in court. Thompson had worked as the singer's drummer for 7 years. This has been a complete nightmare. I have been absolutely brutally abused by her trying to control everything I'm doing. She told the publication that Beyonce cursed her cat, eventually having it killed after she got rid of the cat, per advice of several psychics. Every time I came home from work to rest, I was just being abused to the point where I am still healing from a scratch on my rib cage. It drew blood. It was awful. It was so manic and gnarly that I ended up calling 2 psychics. Oh, she was being abused by her cat. In an interview with Noisy, practicing witch Sarah Lyons compared Thompson's accusations to European witch trials. These are pretty serious accusations, magically induced or otherwise. I personally don't want to think Queen Bee is responsible for any of them. Nobody ever wants to believe when it's Beyonce. Which is so funny. Like, oh, well, these things happen, but I don't want to believe it's true because, it's Beyonce. We're going to skip on over to 2023 when she dropped the Renaissance album and dedicated it to Uncle Johnny, which I was saying comes full circle, the alleged sacrifice in the beginning of her career. Even if it was Destiny's Child's career, it was still... she was still a part of it. And I just really felt like there was a lot of pandering happening with that album in itself. There was so many rituals happening, and the gay community loves being used by these artists, but that's another thing. Also, Tina Turner died in 2023, only 14 days after Beyonce started her Renaissance tour. I don't make up the rules. So the question again, why does a legend die every time Beyonce goes on tour? I know a lot of this may seem like it's just Beyonce's side of things, but I really want you guys to understand that everything is a catalyst of their union. These things were made possible because of their connection. This is 2020. We have a civil suit filed by multiple people against... Gotta pull out the oregano for this list. And this was able to fly under the radar so well because 2020 was such a hectic year and everything was just being stamped as conspiracy. Anything anyone said was getting dismissed and just straight up thrown away as conspiracy because you weren't allowed to talk about anything. You would get your page taken away. If you didn't agree with the masses on anything from COVID to celebrity culture and what was going on with them. And I remember I first posted this lawsuit and everybody told me I was reaching, I was crazy. I couldn't even make a video about it. I mentioned it slightly in one of my other videos and that whole chunk of the video had to be cut out. Let's see how it goes this time around. There are 38 names on the defendant list. For the record, this case was thrown out, of course. Like, it was dismissed as frivolous. So just keep that in mind. But with your conspiracy eyes, listen to what's being said. I haven't read this in years. When the first time I read it was back in 2020 when I first found it. Y'all remember the picture that I posted of Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein? Like, it was like a series of pictures of them, and then I had posted a little brief part of the case. Okay, so let's get through this real quick, you guys. Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, the Weinstein Corporation, Miramax, Walt Disney Company, Def Jam Recordings, Rock Nation, Universal Music Group, Beyonce G. Knowles, Kanye O. West, Terrence Thornton, Black Cube, Young Money, Good Music, Shelly Massenberg Smith, David Boys, Robert Kelly, Milton Brown, Marcelo Clore, Sprint Corporation, Viacom CBS, Virgil Abloh, Ghislaine Maxwell, Parkwood Entertainment, New York City Police Department, Sir Philip Green, Sony Entertainment, John Doe's 1 through 100, Jane Doe's 1 through 100. What? The Doe defendants represent employees, partners, collaborators, vendors, third parties, heirs, and related entities whose identities and specific criminal roles have been intentionally concealed or withheld by the defendants to prevent their being brought to justice by being named in this and other civil complaints while intentionally being made unavailable to the plaintiffs of this action. Corporate defendants named or identified as Does are accused of aiding and abetting in the facilitation of the unlawful surveillance, spying, stalking, and repeated drugging, abducting, hostage-taking, and kidnapping for their criminal intent of assault, abuse, extortion, and exploitation in the same capacity as corporations providing support to the criminal enterprise of the defendants 1 through 3. Who was one? Wait. Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, and those 1953 trusts. This is so messy. As corporate purveyors, facilitators, conspirators, and including by providing money laundering services targeting the plaintiffs. Over the course of decades, the defendants established a lucrative but sociopathic criminal enterprise where the defendants engage in decades of human trafficking, assaults, and various abuses, including financial and economic exploitation, drugging for abduction, taking plaintiffs 1 and plaintiffs John Doe, Jane Doe 1 through 10 hostage. This is August 21st, 2020. Like, people think because a case got dismissed or thrown out, like, oh, it was so far-fetched, you listen to what they're saying. Do y'all listen to what they're saying when they're saying it? This is why they tried so hard to shut down people thinking that these things are real. And clearly, these are extremely hard to win. Anybody on the outside reading this is gonna be like, these people are schizophrenic. Rereading this now, after everything that I've read and everything that I've known, and the people that I've talked to, like, saying these things isn't far-fetched anymore. Like, this is pissing me off. The defendants engaged in this criminal and sociopathic conduct as a form of specific criminal intentions designed as harassment, extortion, physical torture, psychological torment, and revenge, targeting plaintiff 3 for her refusal to sell her child or children to defendants 1 through 3. When plaintiff number 3 refused to sell or allow the defendants in any capacity to abuse or financially exploit plaintiff 1 or any of her other children. Who's plaintiff 1? Plaintiff 1 is Charlene. Tracy is 3. Okay. The defendants began targeting the family for economic abuses and financial exploitation that not only consisted of drugging the children of plaintiffs 2 and 3 for this expensive scheme of the defendants was initiated by Jeffrey Epstein, represented throughout this action by his estate, the 1953 Trust. Oh my God. Plaintiff number 3 agreed to an out-of-court multi-million-dollar monetary settlement in the late 1980s, early 90s to avoid a public criminal and civil prosecution for Epstein's use of several of the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs 2 and 3 share 6 children together. Okay, so David and Tracy have 6 kids. After misappropriating Leslie Wexner's money to pay, how do I know that name? Jeffrey Epstein devised a scheme of revenge and recovery of the money by targeting the plaintiffs for drugging and trafficking the children for continued abuse at his various around the world, where he was paid large sums by elite attendees and then used the money to repay his debt to Wexner. The CEO of Victoria's Secret. I'm like, why do I know that name? Yes, Les Wexner. Because I'm like, Leslie. I'm thinking like a lady right now. Les Wexner. Ew. So the CEO of Victoria's Secret, all of those women and young girls and models aspiring right there, loaning Jeffrey Epstein money to pay off his debts. Wonder what else they loan to each other. The decades of abuse were equally to benefit entertainment and economic enrichment of the corporations and any person named as defendant. The defendants' conspiracies to traffic and exploit for criminal sexual intent targeting plaintiff 1 occurred when she was a minor. Over the course of 30 years, since at least 1988 or 1989, the defendants did conspire to unlawfully surveil, drug, and abduct for trafficking and other exploitative abuse of plaintiff 1 at approximately age 13 years old. And like, who just wakes up and makes this up, you know? I feel like you gotta be real sick to be like, years later, Jay-Z, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein trafficked me. I'm trying to figure out where Virgil Abloh fits into that though. I don't know. The defendants Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, Jeffrey Epstein conspired together and with other defendants to illegally transact a purchase agreement of giving giving them ownership of Plaintiff 1 while she was a minor child residing in the state of Illinois at approximately age 5 or 6, with the intent of committing criminal acts against the plaintiff as a child and throughout the course of her entire adult life. The defendants 1, 2, and 3 at no time communicated with nor received permission from plaintiffs 2 and 3, the biological and custodial parents of plaintiff number 1. The defendants 1, 2, and 3 conspired with various parties to stalk the plaintiffs in order to drug, abduct, and traffic plaintiff 1 to various events known as parties hosted by the now deceased Jeffrey Epstein, held at all of his properties, including in the United States and Virgin Islands, with the intent of committing crimes against the plaintiffs. At the age of 13 specifically, the plaintiff was stalked in the state of Missouri, drugged and trafficked to be abused at an event at 9 East 71st Street, Manhattan, New York. I don't like that. At this piece of property owned by defendant number 1, plaintiff 1 was sexually assaulted by various parties in attendance, specifically Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter. Defendants 2 and 3 willfully and forcibly plaintiff 1 and committed lewd and acts against and upon her without consent of any plaintiffs at this event held at the Manhattan property. Sean Combs has absolutely nothing on Sean Carter. What's crazy is the filing, the case itself isn't what's far-fetched. It's all of these names. Why is this against Kanye, R. Kelly? You got Virgil Abloh on here. Like, what? Sprint? Like, okay, I guess the phone companies. What are we... Lil Wayne? What did Lil Wayne do? I'm just... Beyonce wasn't mentioned one time in here, so like, why is she on this list? Her man. She want to be Mrs. Carter. You got to stand by all of Mr. Carter's accusations. But honestly, what do Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein have so much to hang out and talk about? Just a bunch of things that I've been taking note of over the years. So here it is. These are things that I've noticed. That just things that make you say, Not saying they're true. Not saying that everything on here makes sense. It's just things that make me say, I think these things are important to talk about because we shouldn't be idolizing these people and we shouldn't be thinking that they're above everything, but I also don't think everything should be taken as fact. They are theories. Just have some discernment and go with how your gut feels on things. I feel like some of the stuff is a little far-fetched, but I feel like if it's fake, why is it real? Why is it so hard to think that Jay-Z could be a trafficker and all that stuff when Diddy was doing it? Nobody thought Diddy was doing it. And people think of Jay-Z different because he has Beyonce. Diddy's always running around with this girl, that girl, this girl. Like, so nobody takes him seriously. They expect, less of him. But because Mr. Carter and Mrs. Carter and they're this family and they're the beacon of black excellence, they can do no harm. They're not doing these things. Like I said, my thread of 6 degrees of separation. Why do y'all act blind to your faves being equally as close to these cases as Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein? So we have Naomi Campbell, always in Ghislaine's face. She was besties with Ghislaine Maxwell and allegedly brought around young girls that had hopes of being models for Epstein. So we have Ghislaine Maxwell. I can't remember this young girl's name right now, but she was a victim. And then we have Naomi right back there. So she was clearly traveling with them. Her and Ghislaine and Trump and Melania, whatever, all of them, birds of a feather. Everybody is friends. Look at the smiles. Come on. Come on. You're going to stand beside that ill. Her and Beyonce. Always. Birds of a feather. Come on. Frazzle drip right on the hoodie. And Virgil made that shirt, which was interesting to me why Virgil's name was on that lawsuit, because I know that Virgil is in these circles. We know that, but why was he in the lawsuit? Y'all didn't mention him. So that was interesting. Like, why was he? Everybody's besties. Everybody's good until you decide to run against each other. None of these people are saviors. Like, I just really need people to get that through their heads. Naomi Campbell, always seated with a predator, but she's not a predator. Michelle Obama talking about Harvey Weinstein. Naomi Campbell's name on the flight logs. Like, now the Dream was accused of trafficking? What happened to Beyonce vetting everybody in her team so closely and making sure that they, yeah. But anyway, 6 degrees of separation. Birds of a feather flock together. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And yeah, some people slip up and make, you know, friends and don't really know who the person is. You know, that's not always the case. These are people who ride together, die together. Bad boys for life. So I don't want to hear the, oh, well, you know, you can't always be your friends. You can't control what your friends do. If all of your friends are traffickers and assaulters and killers, either you're picking some really terrible friends or you're a trafficker and a killer. But yeah, that's it. I'm glad I finally got this out the way. I really hope this was worth the wait. So many moving pieces for this, so there will be more videos coming after this. I just wanted to get my little list out the way so you guys could see where my thought process was. And yeah, there's more to come. So I love you guys. I will see you in the next video.
I'm gonna